Welcome to the Old Time Radio Westerns. I'm your host, Andrew Rhynes, and I'm excited to bring you another episode absolutely free. This is one of over 80 episodes released monthly for your enjoyment. Now, let's get into this episode.
A fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty Hi-Yo Silver, the Lone Ranger. His faithful Indian companion Tonto, the daring and resourceful masked rider of the plains, led the fight for law and order in the early western United States. Nowhere in the pages of history can one find a greater champion of justice. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. From out of the past come the thundering hoofbeats of the great horse Silver. The Lone Ranger rides again.
Come on, Silver. Let's go, big fellow. Hi-Yo Silver! Ahoy!
Dan Reed, teenage nephew of the Lone Ranger, rode the trail toward the town of Saybrook with Tonto.
Dan, me take Scout to blacksmith shop. You get supplies at store.
All right, Tonto.
And then me meet you in front of store.
I'll wait at the railroad station instead. I want to watch the afternoon train come in.
Well, me go to station. It good there only one train come through town in afternoon, or we not get back to camp.
Well, I do like to watch him.
And me like trains. We hurry now, or train go before we get to town. Get 'em up, Scout.
Come on, Victor.
After purchasing the few supplies and putting them in his saddlebags, Dan went to the railroad station and stood with a group of curious onlookers who usually met the trains.
Yeah, it's coming now. Yeah, it'll soon be showing around the bend. There it is.
Get the sheriff! The train was held up and robbed! I'm right here, conductor. What's this all about?
Outlaws stopped the train back in the canyon. They got a gold shipment from the express car and killed the express clerk.
Holy mackerel. How many were there?
6 or 8 of them, I reckon. They piled logs across the tracks. After the robbery, they rode out of the canyon to the north.
Did you get a good look at any of them?
Oh, they all wore bandanas. Couldn't see anything but their eyes. The leader was a big fellow with a strange, husky voice. The express clerk creased the leader's left wrist with a bullet. It was then that the outlaw leader killed the clerk.
We'll get the body to the coroner's. Then I'll take a posse up to the canyon and try to trail that gang.
When Tonto arrived, Dan told what had happened, and then the Indian and the boy started back to the camp where the Lone Ranger was waiting. Later at the camp, they discussed the holdup with the masked man. The Lone Ranger listened intently, then spoke.
That must be the outlaw gang we came here to help capture, Tonto. We'll leave Dan here in camp while we try to pick up their trail.
Golly, I wish I were old enough to go with you.
They're killers, Dan. You'll need a lot more training and experience before you go after men like them. We'll be back about sundown. Here, Silver. Now, let's go, Tonto. Adios, Dan.
Bye, sir.
Easy, steady, big fella.
Easy, Scott, easy, fella.
Come on, Silver!
The Lone Ranger's camp was located in a grove in the hills north of town. About an hour after the masked man and Indian had left, a sudden storm broke. Dan found shelter for himself and his horse Victor in a large lean-to which they had built when they first pitched camp. The boy curled up in his blanket and soon went to sleep. A particularly loud clap of thunder, combined with the crashing of a large tree on the edge of the grove, awakened Dan with a start.
Golly, lightning struck a tree out there. It's all right, Victor. Easy, fella, easy.
Dan stood up and looked out. The tree had fallen across the narrow trail that led into the camp. Suddenly, beyond the tree, hidden by the heavy foliage, he heard someone call out.
Hey, you all right, man?
Yeah. That tree just missed us. We'll have to ride around it to get to that lean-to we saw over yonder. Get up there. Get up.
They're coming here. Maybe we'd better go out behind the lean-to, Victor, till we're sure they're friendly. Come on, boy.
Quickly, Dan led his horse around behind the lean-to. A few minutes later, he heard two men pull rein in front of the structure.
Well, somebody did us a good turn when they built this lean-to, Vance.
Yeah. Doesn't seem to be anyone around. I guess they moved on.
In that case, we'll holster our guns. How's that wrist of yours?
Throbbing a little. It'll be all right. Just a bullet crease.
Well, the hombre that did it won't ever use a gun again.
That's right, but you won't. I made sure of that.
The storm sure is a big help to us. If we knew it was coming, we wouldn't have had to separate like we all did.
It ought to let up soon. Then we'll head for the hideout to meet the others. Until then, let's just make ourselves comfortable.
Dan, hidden behind the lean-to, managed to keep Victor quiet. The boy realized the two men inside were outlaws from their conversation, and he knew that if he were discovered, he might be harmed. In about half an hour, the rain abated, settling down to a drizzle. Dan listened as the two men in the lean-to once more began to talk.
Well, the rain's let up now, Vance.
Yeah, it's just a drizzle. Might as well move on.
All right, let's get to the horse.
Victor, those must be two of the outlaws. And that man with the husky voice has a bullet crease on his wrist. He must be the leader the conductor spoke of. This weather, they won't leave a trail. We'll have to follow them easy, boy. Steady. Come on, Victor.
Dan had realized that the rain would wash out any trail that the two outlaws might leave as they rode away, so he decided to follow them at once. A short time after they had started, the drizzle turned into a steady rain. The outlaws, Buck and Vance, rode further back into the hills. They followed a winding trail. After making a horseshoe turn on the upgrade, Buck leaned over in the saddle and glanced over the embankment at the trail below. He quickly pulled back and spoke.
Hey, Vance. There's somebody coming along the trail behind us.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Before he makes a turn to come up here, we'll be over the top of the hill. Let's hurry. And we'll find a place to wait until he catches up to us. Get up there.
Get up. Come on. We're over the top now. There's some big boulders just ahead.
We'll stop behind him and wait.
Whoever he is, he must be following us. Nobody ever uses this trail. Stops at the old deserted sawmill where we're hiding out.
That's right. Run in behind these boulders.
Easy, boy, easy. This'll do it. Hold. Shall we plug him as he comes up the trail?
No. Hold your fire, Buck. I want to find out what he knows and who might have set him trail on us.
He's coming near the top of the hill now.
Get your gun ready.
I'm ready. There he is.
I'll give him a warning shot.
Up a yard, reach.
All right, come on, Buck. Get up there.
Get up. Oh. For the love of Pete, it's just a boy.
Yeah, but he's He's a smart-looking button. What are you coming up this way for, kid?
Well, I was...
And what's a kid like you doing riding in the rain on these hills with dark coming on? Don't you know it's risky?
I didn't think much about that.
Do you know where this trail goes to?
No, I'm new in this territory.
Did your ma and pa just move out this way?
No. My parents are not living.
You mean you're just roaming around alone?
Well, right now I am.
Vance, I don't imagine a poor orphan like this Maverick has anything to worry about.
What do you mean, poor? Take a look at that white horse he's riding. Is that your horse, Button? Or did you swipe him someplace?
Victor belongs to me.
Who sent you after us? I want the truth.
Nobody.
You better turn around and go back. This trail only goes as
Shut
far
up,
as...
Buck. We can't let him get back. He told anyone about us coming this way, they might get wise.
Well, what are we going to do with him?
Let him come along with us. Since he has no folks, there's no use in him wandering around these hills with darkness coming on.
I'd rather go back. I'm sure I'll find the way all right.
We don't want to get tough with your son. But we got reasons why we don't want you to get back. You're smart. You'll come along and take a job with us. You'll be able to take care of some horses, won't you?
Yes, but... Well, I have to meet some friends
Well,
of mine.
forget him. You're coming with us. You'll have a paying job and learn a business. What's your name?
Dan Reed.
All right, Dan. You're on the level about not following us, not having the folks. You'll come willing. But if we have to force you to come with us, it won't be so easy for you. Now, come on, make up your mind. What do you say?
All right, I'll go with you.
Good. Now, let's go. Get up there.
Get up.
Come on, Victor.
Dan Reed decided it was better to go along with the two outlaws on more or less friendly terms until he could figure out some way to get in touch with the Lone Ranger. Meantime, as darkness set in, the Lone Ranger and Tonto returned to camp.
Easy, fella.
Dan must be in the lean-to. No, he isn't here.
Sabi. Me not think him leave camp in storm.
Lightning must have struck that big tree we saw lying across the trail out there. Dan may have decided he wasn't safe here.
Thunder and lightning stop hour ago. Soon be plenty dark. Maybe Dan come back soon.
Oh, I hope so. Look here, Tonto.
What you find, Kimasabi?
The paper wrapping from some chewing tobacco. Someone's been here, right inside this lean-to.
Me look close at ground. See faint boot prints. Prints of two men, Kimasabi.
I don't like this, Tonto.
Maybe men going by come in out of storm.
Yes, that's possible. But Dan wouldn't leave with them unless...
What you think?
Tonto, Dan would leave for only one of two reasons. Either he was forced to go, or he thought there were men he should follow.
Rain, wash away trail. We're not able to follow Dan.
I know. We'll wait a short while. If he doesn't come back soon, we'll start out and search until we find him.
Meantime, Vance and Buck arrived with Dan at the deserted sawmill, which was located on the bank of a deep, narrow river.
Oh, there.
Oh, Victor, Hey, boy, easy.
All right, come on, kid. We'll go inside.
I'll tie the horses and leave them here for the time being, Vance. The rain has stopped now.
All right, Buggy. Let's go, Dan.
Here's Vance now. We're getting worried about you and Buck.
You mean you were worried about the gold we got packed in our saddlebags? Fellas, this is Dan Reed. He was wandering in the hills. Since he has no folks, we brought him along to do odd jobs around the camp for us.
Risky having a kid with us. Yeah, he might be a blabbermouth, Vance.
Don't worry. Dan will stay around camp. And all of you see what he does.
You mean I'm a prisoner?
Well, not exactly, Button. But we can't take a chance and let you roam around. You might meet somebody. You'd start asking questions.
Sure.
See, as long as you behave yourself, you get a good job. Maybe someday you'll work your way right into the gang. Huh, fellas? We use this big mill as headquarters, Dan. You'll find an empty bunk back there. There's a small storage shed behind this one. That's where you'll spend most of your time, looking after the horses.
Yes, sir.
After we eat, you'll go out and put up our horses for the night. The old day met us. You started on a new life.
The curtain falls on the first act of our Lone Ranger adventure. Before the next exciting scenes, please permit us to pause for just a few moments. Now to continue. Inwardly, Dan Reed was frightened, but he tried not to show it. He also decided not to antagonize the outlaws, in hopes that he'd be allowed enough freedom to plan his escape, or at least to get word somehow to the Lone Ranger. His big hope was that when he went to put up the horses, he'd be able to send Victor back to camp.
I'll go out and stable the horses now.
Well, no, that's your spirit, Button. Glad you go along and help him.
All right, Vance.
Oh, I don't need any help. I'm used to taking care of horses.
From the way you've been acting so calm and quiet like, I'd say you're used to getting out of tough spots, too. You'll do most of the work, all right, but Fred will keep an eye on you while you do. Now go ahead, kid.
Realizing that his chance was gone, Dan went with the outlaw Fred and attended to the horses. Then they returned. Vance Lawson winked and grinned at the others as he spoke to Dan once more.
Boys your age need plenty of sleep, Dan, so you better get back and turn in, huh? In the morning, when you're ready to get up, you'll find your clothes and boots in my bunk. I don't reckon you'd try to sneak away during the night without them. Good night, Button.
Meanwhile, the Lone Ranger and Tonto had searched most of the night for Dan. Finally, they returned to their camp.
Easy,
Scout. Easy.
Tonto, I must admit I'm worried. There's no use searching any more in the dark.
That's right. It's not long till dawn comes.
The sky is clearing now. The ground is drying out. As soon as the sun comes up, I'll start searching again. You stay at the camp.
Maybe Dan come back and maybe him send Victor.
He does. Pick up my trail and come let me know.
At dawn, Dan was awakened by Vance Lawson.
Hey, Button, wake up.
Oh, golly, it's daylight.
Yeah. Yep, here are your clothes. Put them on and go feed the horses. When you're through, you'll get some breakfast for your son.
All right.
Dan dressed hastily. A short time later, he went out and fed the horses. This time, he seemed to be alone and decided this was his chance. He quickly saddled Victor, then going to the door, he looked around before leading the stallion out of the shed. He was just about to mount when he heard Vance's voice.
Easy, Victor, steady, boy.
I got you coming.
I just wanted to take a ride.
Don't ride away. You were trying to make a getaway. I've been nice to you up to now, thinking maybe you could be trusted, but I see your chance. You think that stallion needs exercise? I'll ride him. In fact, I'll ride him from now on. Step aside so I'll be able to mount him.
Easy, Victor. Steady, boy.
Steady. I'll have to let out the stirrups a bit.
Up, Victor! Go home, Victor! Go home!
You dirty little sneak. I'll fix you for that. To put a bullet in you. Where's my gun?
Dan suddenly realized Vance's gun had dropped. Before the outlaw knew what the boy had in mind, Dan saw it on the ground and jumped to pick it up.
I have your gun.
Hey, put down that gun. It might go off.
It might.
For a moment, Dan stood with a gun facing the angry outlaw leader. Then the boy heard voices and knew the others were coming. He suddenly threw the gun into the bushes.
There's your gun.
I'll get you.
No, I'd rather drown than stay here.
Hey, come back here, you!
Dan headed straight for the high bank along the river. Just as the other outlaws came around the corner of the big shed, Dan dove.
They won't get me.
Hey, the boy jumped in the river. Yeah, what happened, Vance?
Never mind what happened. Watch for him, then use your guns.
Yeah, he hasn't come up yet. That river's deep. Sure is.
Yeah, the crazy fool. He said he'd rather drown than stay here. Maybe he couldn't swim.
For a few moments, the outlaws stood up on the bank watching the river, but there was no sign of Dan.
Well, the kid's gone, so is the horse, and that's it. As far as I'm concerned, it's just as well. Let's go back inside.
Later, at the Lone Ranger's camp, Tonto waited patiently, hoping that Dan might return. Suddenly, Scout raised his ears, then whinnied loudly.
Scout, what you hear? Oh, horse come plenty fast. It looked like Victor. Victor, you not bring Dan. No, we go find Lone Ranger. Then we follow Victor's back trail. Get him up, Scout. Come, Victor.
The Lone Ranger had ridden north on the trail that followed the railroad. As he rode, he spoke his thoughts to the great horse Silver.
Silver, we must find Dan. We must. I feel helpless with no trail to follow. If it hadn't rained, we would have had a chance.
The Lone Ranger had been riding at an easy pace so that if there were any signs to be seen, he wouldn't overlook them. His restless eyes looked down, searching, hoping, but without result. Then his alert senses caught the sound of fast-approaching hoofs. He looked up as the sheriff and a posse galloped over a rise just ahead. Hoping they might help in the search for Dan, he rode toward them. The whine of a couple of bullets over his head caused the Lone Ranger to bring Silver to a halt.
We got you covered, mister. By thunder, you must not have wanted to get away the way you kept riding right toward us.
You must be one of that outlaw gang, Sheriff.
No, I'm not an outlaw. I'm looking for that gang. I think they've captured a certain young boy. If they have, I won't be responsible for what I may do.
Captured a young boy? Say, you sick or wounded or something, mister?
No.
He's putting on some kind of an act. That talk about him capturing some boys just to stall for time. Make him tell where the outlaws are hiding, Sheriff.
I told you I'm not an outlaw.
That mask says you are, mister.
Quiet, Silver.
Hold on. Did you call that stallion Silver?
That's right.
Deputy, get one of the bullets from his gun belt.
All right, but keep him covered. Here it is.
Uh-huh. A silver bullet.
Hey, what's this all about? Let's make him talk.
Wait a minute. We're making a mistake. I've heard of this masked hombre. He's the Lone Ranger.
Yes, I am.
Sorry we pulled guns on you, mister. Holster your guns, men. What were you saying about the outlaws getting a boy?
Briefly, the Lone Ranger told about Dan's disappearance. Then the sheriff spoke again.
That's all the more reason we gotta find that gang, man. Trouble is, we don't know where to start. That storm last night spoiled everything.
I'm not giving up until... Someone's coming.
Hey, it's a redskin. He's leading a horse.
That's Tonto. He must have news.
Oh, Scout. Oh, Victor. Oh.
Tonto, did Dan...
Victor come back alone, Kimasabi. Me come get you. Then we backtrack on Victor's trail.
That's a good idea.
All right, let's go. Come on, Silver!
Get him up, Scout. Come, Victor.
Later that morning, the outlaws had brought around their horses and were getting ready to ride. Vance stood near his horse, giving final instructions.
Everybody here ready to go?
Yeah, all 6 of us are here, Vance.
I will stop the stage over in the valley south of town and get the money box. All right, hit leather, fellas.
Hey, look! Grab your guns, quick! Men on horses back in the trees!
The outlaws soon realized that the horsemen encircled them and were gradually closing in. Vance shouted encouragement to his men.
Don't give up, men! Keep shooting!
The sheriff, who was with the Lone Ranger and Tonto, recognized Vance.
That's the leader. The hombre with the husky voice.
I want to get to him and make him talk.
Look. Him and another fellow jump from horses and run into big shed.
We'll get them. Come on, Silver!
Come on, Scout!
Vance and Buck had managed to reach the temporary safety of the shed. The Lone Ranger and Tonto leaped from their horses.
Oh! All right, let's go, Tonto.
They ran toward the shed with guns blazing at the one front window to prevent the two outlaws inside from shooting at them before they could reach it. Then the masked man crouched down and quickly made his way to the back, while Tonto kept the outlaws' attention at the front. The masked man looked through a back window just as Buck turned from the front one. Quickly, the Lone Ranger fired. As Buck fell, wounded in the leg, Vance turned from the front window and ducked behind an overturned table inside. The masked man jumped aside as the outlaw fired several shots at the back window. There was a lull, so the Lone Ranger cautiously glanced inside. He saw Vance pull on an empty gun, then duck down to reload. The masked man acted instantly. He sprang to the back door and smashed his boot against the latch. As Vance peered over the edge of the upturned table and started to raise his gun, the front door banged open and Tonto leaped forward.
You not shoot!
The bullet went wild. As Tonto grappled with Vance, the outlaw sprawled to the floor as the gun flew from his hand.
Get the gun, Tonto. I'll take care of him. Get up, you.
Let go, will you?
Where's the boy? Where is he?
Boy? How did you know? Hey, the white horse. You must have backtracked on his trail.
So you do know about the boy.
I can tell you, mister. We got all the others.
All right, speak up.
He jumped in the river. We watched, but he didn't come up.
Dan drowned? You dirty yellow killer. I'll break your neck.
For the first time in his life, the Lone Ranger fought in a blind rage, augmented by his grief for Dan. Big as he was, Vance couldn't defend himself against the terrific onslaught of blows the masked man incessantly rained upon him. Several times, the outlaw killer sank to his knees, only to be dragged to his feet to take more.
You killed him. You don't deserve to live.
Help that! Hey, we better stop this. Kimasabi, wait! Kimasabi!
I ought to pound him to a pulp.
Man alive. He's just about unconscious.
I'm sorry. When I thought of Dan,
Yeah, we know how you feel. But leave him for the law to hang.
Tonto!
Hey, look! In the doorway.
Dan, they said you were...
All right, sir. I swam underwater and came up on a ledge along the bank. I heard the fight and knew you must have come.
We're glad you're safe.
Maybe it's better we go now, Kimasabi.
Yes, Come on, Dan, Tonto. Adios, Sheriff.
Adios. By thunder, he sure must think a lot of that boy. I wouldn't want to get him riled up at me.
Well, I'd rather take the bullet he gave me in the leg than to take a beating like that.
Don't let him hit me again.
Oh, shut up, you. That beating will be something to remember till you go to the gallows. And it's a good warning to others that they can't put anything over on the Lone Ranger. This is a feature of the Lone Ranger Incorporated, created by George W. Trendle, produced by Trendle Campbell Enterprises, directed by Charles D. Livingston, and edited by Fran Stryker. The part of the Lone Ranger is played by Brace Beamer.
This has been a presentation of OTRWesterns.com and we hope you enjoyed. Please take some time to like and rate this episode within your favorite podcast application. Follow us on Facebook by going to otrwesterns.com/Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel by going to otrwesterns.com/YouTube. Become one of our ranch hands and unlock some exclusive content. We want to thank our most recent ranch hands, Steve, Technogod, and Craig, who joined us recently. You too can join by going to otrwesterns.com/donate. Send us an email, podcast@otrwesterns.com, and you can call and leave us a voicemail, 707-986-8739. This episode is copyrighted under the attribution non-commercial share-alike copyright. For more information, go to otrwesterns.com/copyright. Have a great day, and thanks for listening.